Alright, I just wanted to make this quick video because I was thinking about something. I noticed ChatGPT is replacing Google for a lot of people. Basically, if you haven't heard, ChatGPT is like an AI model that you interface by asking questions in text. And it can give a pretty decent selection of answers depending on how you question or how you phrase your questions. And how it gets the information is by going through a lot of data available on the internet already. You make models based off of it, and then the AI answers based off those models. And I realized that a lot of people, including much older tech illiterate people, are using ChatGPT to essentially replace Google. So when they have a question or they want to know something, they go to ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT. Now, this is happening for almost every age range, for almost everything. So I know a lot of coders, and there are a lot of coders who are using ChatGPT to solve problems. I know there are a lot of students using ChatGPT to do their homework. And yeah, so what that made me think about was in the traditional search engine, essentially what it does is it indexes a lot of websites out there. And when you put in a query, it gives you results by looking through all the sites that it has tracks of, right? Sorry, it has track of. And so essentially what the monetization model looks like is, oh, if you're hosting a site, will boost you in the results. Now, this is the most common method of monetization for a lot of platforms. For example, for Google, they can charge money to have your website be boosted when they look for something. It could be for eBay where your listing is boosted. It can be for YouTube where they're like, oh, we'll give your video more views. It can be for almost any and every platform. Facebook has it, Instagram has it, any social media platform, any platform where people are interfacing with content has this sort of monetization method. And the tricky part is there's no real incentive for the platform owners to make sure your content does well organically because they can charge you money for it, right? But on the other side, on the flip side, if your content, everyone's content does really bad, then there's really no incentive for anyone to use that platform to begin with. So as the platform holder, they have to do this balancing act of making sure that you get enough traffic, but not enough so that you're tempted to pay for the traffic that you would have gotten. What this made me think was like, how are they going to monetize if ChatGPT replaces Google? Because once ChatGPT, let's say it takes over, right? When you ask a question, it doesn't give you a website. It might. It just gives you the answer. And where's the answer from? From data that's just out there on the internet for free. And also, ChatGPT can lie to you as well. So, it's kind of like how do you make money off of that, right? And obviously, the first answer is API access. So essentially, when you interface with the product or service, and you want to get data or interact with it in some way, they can charge you for that. So, for example, Twitter, did they cancel that? I don't even know. X. It's X now, right? So a lot of websites also charge for API access. So Reddit was a thing where people were getting very upset about them charging for API access, where they had third-party readers. And they're like, Reddit's like, nope, we're going to charge you money now. And a lot of them can't afford that. So, yeah, I don't like where this is going, but essentially, what this kind of will lead to, the way that I look at it, is that there's going to be a very small revenue pool for people making any sort of content that's going to be replaced by ChatGPT. I just don't see it. I'm talking mostly for written content, for video content. I don't see it being replaced yet. So like the entire revenue pool consists of advertisement money. So how do you monetize with an AI model, right? Like, are you gonna charge money to have certain answers boosted? Like, how does that even work, right? The only way I can think of monetizing is by API access or by interfacing with a data set. So like, and by interfacing with the data set, I mean like if you are a advertiser and you're like, how would consumers react? And then firms are like, oh, we can give you a very realistic and accurate model of consumer behavior depending on your queries, and they could train a data set for you, or they could have a giant data set that's trained already and then charge people for accessing the data set. I mean, this is kind of some interesting things to think about because advertising is becoming more obsolete. Like ad firms, like they don't need people to do this; they can do this with AI now. So, you know, if you're working in advertisement, I would be looking over your shoulder and trying to find jobs in other areas. An AI will give you a way more accurate and faster and more fluid response to trends. So I feel like you're going to see monetization for content creators, especially written content. That is going to plummet probably because people are just going to use chatgpt and you're not going to have them visit your website. If they're not visiting your website, you can't display ads on your website. And if you can't display ads on your website, you're not going to make money off of it. So some very interesting thoughts here. I don't know exactly how it's going to play out, but I feel like it's just not going to be good for a lot of people, and it's going to be great for the consumer side where it's just easier to access a lot of data without going through websites. When you're searching for something on Google and it's not giving you the result you want, and you're just scrolling through a bunch of websites, you're going through forums, typing super deep to get the information you want. Whereas with ChatGPT, just change your query a little bit and bam, it hits you with the answer that you want. Now, whether or not that answer is accurate or not, that's another thing. But yeah, so that's something I was thinking about. Feel like it's not going to be good. All right, that's going to be it. Just some thoughts I have, some rough thoughts. Also, Budahar made a video on something I was thinking about too, just briefly before I end. But in my opinion, Microsoft Game Pass, I've been saying this on stream like many years ago, but whenever it came out, Game Pass is bad for the gaming industry as a whole. It's not good. It's great for the consumer in that you have access to a lot of games, but the reason why I'm saying it's bad is the way that it's monetized for developers. Unless you're big and Microsoft made a deal with you and gave you money up front for your game to be on Game Pass, for other developers, it's just not gonna. It's the Spotify model, and if you want to look up what happened to artists that put their music on Spotify, you'll know why it doesn't work. Essentially, the entire revenue pool is all the people paying money to subscribe to Game Pass, and then you divide that amongst the total number of games there based on primarily on playtime. So, if all 100 people on Game Pass are playing, Sea of Stars, then Sea of Stars gets all the revenue minus Microsoft's cut. Now, I'm not saying there's only 100 people on Game Pass. There's probably a lot of people, but you catch my drift, right? So if you put your game on Game Pass and no one plays it, you get no money. Whereas if you listed your game on Steam and like 10 people bought it, you get a guaranteed income, right? So that doesn't happen with Game Pass, and it's going to suck for the developers because they're not going to make as much money, and it's going to suck for the consumer in the long run because the developers are going to have to monetize it through some other ways, like microtransactions that you have to buy in order to have a good experience. They already have that in a lot of games right now, but people are not enjoying that. And I feel like if Microsoft can be successful in making sure Game Pass is like the primary way to play games, then we are all effed as gamers. It's not going to end well. If you have seen the leaks already, they have a Xbox Series X that is digital only, and they're pushing cloud gaming super hard. So that's what they want because they get more money, and that's all they care about. So, man, and another thing, you don't own the games. You can't really mod them. They control it. You only have limited access to a curated queue of games. I don't know. I think it's bad for gamers and developers as a whole. I hope people don't buy into it because it's cheap right now and convenient, but there's a heavy price to pay. And if you don't stop it now, I mean, look at what happened to DLC and microtransactions when we didn't stop it with Horse Armor and Oblivion. And that's gonna be it. Thanks for listening to my rambles. So I have these random thoughts and I record them. I know they're not really good content, but I just wanted to put it out there on the internet. Anyways, that's it. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out. Drink some LaCroix there. I've been hydrating with LaCroix for like 2 weeks straight. It's the only thing I've been drinking. I don't know how that's going to affect my body, but hopefully it's not bad.